something. You didn't have to write much at all. And we really lowered our standard in here, guys, on your writing. I want you to write like you would if you're writing a formal paper for Mrs. Shirk. There's appropriate language and inappropriate language, and it changes from place to place. You're going to talk to your friends in a lot less formal way than you will in here, or you should in here. So when you're writing and doing work like this particular assignment, if you use the dude this or the chick that, that's not appropriate. That's not proper language. Or he did it 'cause, C-U-Z, not appropriate. Now, it's completely appropriate if you're talking with your friends. But you guys are kind of forgetting that. You're blurring the line. You're doing things there that you or here that you would do there. You're kind of following your texting rules, too. You're so used to texting each other and leaving out articles. A, and, the, those types of things. Well, that's not appropriate when you leave that out of formal writing. Okay? Formal writing, you use the big words, you make it clear. It's like you would talk to someone that really scares you, or someone that you're trying to get a job from. It's not someone that you're really familiar with. Okay? That's a different kind of language. We get into some bad habits because of this other kind of writing that we do. He could have done it. What's wrong with that sentence? Could have. Or perhaps he committed the crime. That's even more formal. That's the kind of writing you guys should be doing. I don't have to be a language arts teacher to know proper English and proper grammar. And you are going to continue to lose points. And if you look at this, you'll see how that happened. For big things like no capital letter, head up please, no period at the end. I mean, some of you lost 5 points because you did this instead of this. Lowercase t instead of a capital T. That's just stupid. Every single 8th grader should be able to do that by now, okay? If you continue to write like you did on this first assignment, most of you, some of you got 13 out of 13, did very well. But you continue to write like that, your grade's just going to take a nosedive, and there's no reason for that. Remember, you only have 4 or 5 individual assignments that you're doing the entire quarter. You can't afford to bomb one. Got it? Well, that's not counting the 3 of the year, but within the middle of the unit, 4 or 5, okay? All right, so on this one, let me just go through here real quick. Obviously, all these are going to be written in formal English, complete sentences. Since you're not good buds with Hedda Honcho, you won't call her HH on the write-up. You'll write her name. It says her, who is the victim. The victim was Hedda Honcho, period. Who reported the crime? Okay? Well, you know who that is. You're going to write their name, but don't forget to give me the second part. It says why, and why did that person report the crime. Number 3, give a general description of the victim. A lot of you have gotten this habit of not reading things that are in the parentheses. Well, those are important things. It says, describe her physical and character, her physical appearance and her character. So it's not just, the victim was 5'10" and weighed 120 pounds or whatever. You're going to go, excuse me, you're going to go on and you're going to tell me about that person as an individual. Number 4, approximate time that the crime occurred. And it says, list reasons for your answers. So you don't just say the crime occurred between 4:30 and 5:30, whatever it may be. You tell me why you think that. What are you going to refer to for the time? What did we do together that we will refer to for the time? The timeline will give you a good indication of when that happened. I think the crime happened here. Why? Because there was no one that saw her after this point. That kind of thing. All right. Number 5, general description of the office is found by the police. Okay? You're going to get that from the crime scene evidence key or from the crime scene notes. Both of those are blue in your case file. Number 6, it says, what conclusions might you draw from the fact that there was no sign of forced entry into the school, or into the office, or into the administrative offices? What clues can you get from that? I can think of 3 right off the top of my head. Can you name any of them? No. Listen to the question. What can you conclude from the fact that nobody appeared to have forced their way into the building. Okay, it could be someone from the staff, someone that was already in the building. They had keys. The door wasn't locked like they claimed it was locked, right? Or they were so well liked that they got someone to let them in, is another possible explanation.
Or they're good at lock picking.
Number 7 on the back. Here's where we run into some roadblocks. So it says, list the evidence you will have to work with to solve this crime. Okay? When you go to write a list, a lot of you just get in the habit of write a word dash, you know, that kind of thing. That's not going to be a sentence. The way I would write a sentence here is, the evidence I have to work with includes, colon, and what always follows a colon?
Capital.
What always follows a colon?
List.
A list. Thank you. I was afraid nobody knew the answer. A list. So then you can go colon, and you can start listing things. You know, everyone gets so freaked out about the sentence thing, sometimes they do, the evidence includes a ring, period, a gun, period, a brownie, period. Well, first of all, none of those are sentences, and that's not how you would write it. So the evidence includes, colon, and you could go on and on. There's a bunch of things. You look at that blue sheet, the crime scene notes. We've got a brownie, we've got an earring, we've got a shoe, we've got fingerprints, we've got fibers, we've got lip prints, we've got a Diet Coke can, a Pepsi can, ransom note, tire tracks, shoe prints. It goes on and on. Yes?
Did this count against, was that on the grade sheet already?
That was on the grade sheet, yes. Number 8, what methods might the perpetrators have used to get in and out of the building without anyone seeing them? A lot of people forget that last part. Okay, shh. So, you're thinking now, does it sound likely that the person was grabbed by their hair and dragged through the hallways kicking and screaming?
No.
No. If there was any noise made, it wasn't made for a long period of time over a lot of the school because somebody, of all those people that were in the school, would have heard it. So now you're thinking, what could they have done to get her out of the building without being noticed? That's what you're describing. It says methods, plural. That means more than one. Okay? Number 9, what route did they take to get her out of the office and off the school grounds? And include the evidence that makes you believe that. Well, we saw that yesterday. There was a trail of evidence leading us to believe that they went out at least one way. As far as coming in, you've got to give me your best guess based on what you saw. Okay? But how did they get in? How did they get out? And describe that trail. I think they went this way because we found this here. And they went this way because that would be the least noticeable way of going. Whatever. You've got a reason for the way they went. Yes.
Aside from the whole like fake investigation thing, how did you make the tire tracks yesterday?
For the car.
With your car?
That's general comments. Nothing fake about this, all right? It's real.
Okay, gotcha.
Number 10. This is where you're writing the whole hypothesis out. So this would be like in your language arts class, and Mrs. Shirk asks you to write a story. You're telling me the story, but your story is going to be based on evidence. You're not saying, I think Ida may have done it, or I think she's a kiss-up, did this. You don't know those guys yet. You're going to find out about them on Monday, okay? But you would say something like, I think a teacher with access to the building, or someone that was still working in the building, set up an appointment with Head of Honcho, went in and was talking to her, was the last appointment. Then they struggled when she tried to put handcuffs on her, whatever the case may be. You're telling me what happened, and you're telling me the evidence that supports that belief. How did you come up with that idea? Okay? And that's going to take the rest of the page. Some people move on to another paper and staple it up. Yes? You're going to have the majority of the period, but not the entire period. When you are done with this, I want you to put it on my desk. Every period's been able to finish, but you do have to be working together the entire time. If the person's writing away and you feel like there's nothing for you to do, there is. You go back and you look at the blue sheets in your case file that you didn't get time to look at carefully. Okay? I don't want you roaming around the room, though. You can look at these pictures and other stuff later, but not today. Okay? Monday, we're going to look at the suspects more, and you're going to be watching some interviews. Okay? But when you're done with that and you've turned it in, I want each person individually to pick up one of these and take it back to your seat and read it. This is the Crime Buster Gazette put together by your group, the Nerds. I see some names you recognize on here. And you're going to read this and look for any clues, underline, highlight it if you like, and then you can share that with your group on another day. This is yours to keep. You can take it home if you like. Okay? But you're not going to have time to finish reading it in class. You're going to have to finish that on your own. Any questions on that? All right, finally, before we go to our stations, I did mention yesterday that there was a clue staring you in the face. Did I share with you what that was?
No.
No?
Your name tag?
My name tag, I shared that with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just for the purposes of our podcast here, there were only 2 people all day long who picked up on it. Zach and, who was the other person? Yeah, well, he came up with it first.
No, he actually saw it and said something. I saw it and didn't say anything.
Oh. There you go. But my point with that was that it was staring you in the face, it was right there under your nose, and you weren't aware of it. And there are clues like that, clues that you've already been given that are right under your nose, but you don't know to look for it. Okay? And it just takes some training and patience, willing to go back and look at things in depth. Remember that eccentric case, the tiny little crystals. Turn the case. Some of you didn't quite catch that. You thought that the algicide is what killed her. Is that what killed her? No, it was
Cyanide.
Cyanide killed her. The algicide wouldn't have killed her. That's how they were able to track it back to her. Ruben.
I was gonna say the reason I didn't say anything is because I thought that Eddie Honcho did it. I thought that we weren't gonna have to do anything. I didn't want to give it away.
Well, you could say it to me privately, but yeah, I didn't really explain.
I know, but then I thought you would change it so we actually had to work.
You'll get your other star. But no, I just picked a name at random, guys, just to see if you would see that. That is not necessarily, doesn't mean that you couldn't have done it, but it's not necessarily a person. I just picked one at random. All right? Information that was